Welcome into the OBR streaming network. This is a brand new edition of All Eyes on Cleveland. My name is Brad Ward. The man next to me is not Casey Kinnamon. It's Michael Keefe. Follow him on Twitter at Garage Beers Mike, filling in nicely tonight for Casey, who's celebrating his anniversary. So, happy anniversary, Case, dog, and cheers. I hope you have a good one with the missus. So, yeah, what's up, brother? How are you, Mike?
Man, listen. I couldn't beat Casey if I tried. So shout out to Casey. Happy anniversary. Slight downgrade for everybody tonight, but you know what? But you know what? We're here. I'm ready. I'm excited. And anytime Brad Ward says, "Hey, you want to come hang out on All Eyes on Cleveland?"
Yeah,
my juices are flowing. I'm ready to go.
Good. We got lots to talk about tonight, Mike. There's lots going on. Much to discuss.
All
OG
good.
Philly.
Only positive things.
OG Philly. I feel like I haven't seen you in here in forever, brother. Good to see you. And what's up to everybody else? Jackson, I gotta talk about you, Jackson, right off the top here. Good to see you in the chat, but Jackson did a nice job of screen grabbing a it was actually requested earlier before the show. Did you see this? Yeah, so Bo Bishop on his show, what, Bo and Friends? Is that what it's called? Bishop and Friends? It's the show he does in Columbus. It's not Cleveland Browns Daily. Owen will get to Shelby too. And before I get to Shelby, I should probably just play this because out of the respect for Shelby.
This is Shelby Harris, and you're listening to All Eyes on Cleveland.
Shelby was kind enough to come on the show.
We both have had him on the show.
Yeah, you had him on your show too.
I'm sorry to Shelby for some of the things I might say tonight.
Yep, same, brother, same. We're in the same category. Well, let's get to one thing at a time here. I'm getting overwhelmed already here. All right, so Jackson has posted, and there's no need to grab it really, but it's Bo Bishop, and he's talking about the potential of the Browns having early or trading up or going all in on a quarterback in the draft. And he mentions Jameis as he's about to go to commercial break or whatever. And he's like, he says they're fed up with him, quote unquote, fed up with him. I don't know if he forgets that, like, if he's in Columbus, that he's not talking to Browns fans anymore or what happens. But weird. Thoughts, Mike?
Okay, you want to know my honest thoughts when I heard it? Yeah. Was I'm not buying this from Bo Bishop. I just am not. This just sounds like a little. There've been things like this from this particular source that it always same. It always seems to have the same connotation. There's always a little drama digging when it comes to this situation. And so my first thought was, listen, do I think Jameis, to be really honest with you, do I think Jameis is kind of annoying to everybody? Yeah, I think he's real annoying. I think he watches a lot of videos of guys giving like speeches and stuff, and then he tries to do it, and it's like, oh, Jameis is giving a speech again. And I think maybe Jameis coming into a situation like this where we were a playoff team last year, and I think maybe he kind of has an overbearing personality in the locker room. So do I think maybe Jameis is a little bit annoying? Yeah. Do I think that like the Cleveland Browns organization is fed up with Jameis Winston? I would love to know what more about that we're talking about, because I don't think so. I don't see it.
Yeah. So yeah, could he rub you the wrong way? Probably. Do guys maybe think it's a bit much at times, especially when you're 1-6? Maybe. Yes. I like Jameis. I think he's great. I don't personally find him annoying. I find him refreshing, but because I don't think he's faking it. That's the thing, is I think it's authentic. And I guess for me, if I think it's authentic passion, then I maybe I'm being fooled. But
no, you're not being fooled, Brett. I think it is authentic, but it's also, and I'm sorry to say it this way, but I think it's also kind of dumb. Like I don't know, right? It's like authentic, but it's also like
what's dumb? The pregame speeches and stuff.
Just like when I listen to him talk, I'm like,
or his off the cuff just randomness.
Yeah, kind of that.
Yeah, that could get annoying. Like, you're trying to call a play or teach something, and he's talking about, a cupcake he had last night or something, and getting really into it or whatever. That could get annoying. Sure. Jack pointing out some points here. The jet sweep in Philly. Watch Stefanski's body language post game when asked. So I know there has been some speculation, Jack, that he audibleized to that. I don't know why you would give him that agency in that situation. When you're just in for a short yardage package, he was then demoted to third string, and they pulled the running package out of the to Jackson's point, out of the mix, which then DTR was elevated, which I thought was a dumb move in the first place. But if you're painting as it appears Jackson is alluding to, the picture that there's something behind Bo's words and that he has rubbed Kevin the wrong way. Yeah, I mean, right. He's not here to eat cupcakes. Yeah, so, but I guess you could see that, right? The body language, the demotion, the words from Bo, it all kind of adds up to something. If that's what you're selling, I don't know if I can go down that road.
I also just think, Brad, I think like the demotion side of it is such a good microcosm of this entire Brown season. Because I don't think that just comes out of the blue. And I don't think this gets demoted because he audibled out of one play. That's a conversation you guys can have. But I really do think they said, you know what? The season's kind of flushing down the toilet. Let's make it so that DTR is kind of our, if something happens, he's our next in line guy. But again, you got to remember, it's the worst timing possible. Like, we're all sitting here talking about DTR and how they brought him up and how they made him the backup for the game. If Deshaun doesn't get hurt in the game, we're never discussing this ever again. But again, it's anything that can go wrong with the Browns is going wrong with the Browns, including making that move the week Deshaun Watson happens to get hurt, and now DTR thrown in there, and everybody's like, "Well, why not Jameis?" And you're like, "God, that's just bad timing."
Yeah, to me, it felt like a really a stupid move. Like, so DTR, fine. Yeah, I want to see him, and we're gonna see plenty of DTR this year. Don't you worry. We will see plenty of him this year. But when you see him, but I don't want to see him mid-game, because if you are called on to replace your starting quarterback mid-game, who is better equipped to step into the middle of a game? DTR or a guy who's made 80 starts in the NFL? Probably the guy that's made 80 starts in the NFL. So just keep Jameis as the backup. That just makes so much more sense to me. It just felt like a dumb thing to do. I don't know. Yes, he does remind me of Clay Davis from The Wire. What does Clay Davis from The Wire say? Shit. Right? Isn't that his? Yeah. Shit. Yeah. Good stuff, Paul. Yeah, for sure.
In all of TV history. Just that one word.
Shit. All right. Good stuff. But yeah, maybe they're fed up with him. But I don't know what they're going to do about it. I mean, I wrote in things I think I know. I think Jameis will play to the bye week and it'll be DTR the rest of the way unless he galvanizes some sort of a winning streak. But we'll see. Here's my hot take from Philly. We will see Bailey Zappi before DTR and not because he's injured. Interesting. I would like to see Bailey Zappi. I think as the Browns, let's just say this. we're gonna get more into this later on the agenda with the play calling and stuff, and I'm sure some of this will come up with that. But I think Bailey Zappi is an interesting guy, and I think if you're the Browns, you want to take as many swings as you can, or get as many looks as young quarterbacks as you can going into next year. I think you're going to draft one. I think you're going to have DTR, and if you can get a look at Bailey Zappi too, those are 2 more swings you get or looks you get at guys. Because you're going to be looking for a young quarterback, correct?
But let's be real honest. Let's be real on this whole situation. Because again, I think we're in this place with the Browns right now and the organization and the fans where everybody's feelings on everything that's happening are big. It's just big feelings on everything. The reaction I saw to this Bailey Zappi news and the amount of people that just got big feelings. Listen.
It's a lot of overreaction, yeah.
Well, listen, the future quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, the franchise quarterback of the Cleveland Browns is not on this roster.
Most likely not.
It's not DTR. You can tell, I know he's 2 seasons in, but I don't
know. I like his development. I'm not ruling it out. I don't think he's a superstar, but can he be a guy for a year or 2? I don't know.
That's not what I'm saying, though. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like the future franchise guy is not on this team. Bailey Zappi is not a future franchise quarterback. DTR is not a franchise quarterback. Obviously, Jameis. These guys are best case scenarios you find, like you're talking about, Brad, kind of a bridge guy. Some guy that can give you 1 or 2 years. But the fact of the matter is, you're going to have to you're going to have to go find whether it's taking another swing at a guy that's already established or whether it's a high pick in the draft. You're going to have to go find it because he's not here. A guy that's going to win you Super Bowls at quarterback is not here. He's not here.
It's not about him being a franchise quarterback. I just think they know who DTR is. They'll be more intrigued to see Zappi. Yeah, maybe at some point in the season, Philly. I think they'll go to DTR first because I actually thought last year he was developing nicely as he got into the Denver game and then got hurt, right? And then he looked really good in the preseason. So I think he's been developing along nicely. He looked overwhelmed a bit on Sunday, but that's also because you were thrown right into the middle of the game. Once again, very similar to Baltimore last year, right? When he wasn't expected to start and was told last minute he was playing because Watson pulled himself out, if you recall, his first ever start. So, and he looked overwhelmed in that game. Immediately, though, when he came in the game, he got the ball out quickly, and immediately the offense started to move the ball. So, I think anybody is better than what Four was doing, personally. And so I don't, he has put on some weight. DeAndre, I agree. I want to see more DTR. But the first thing I want to see is I actually want to see Jameis because I do think out of all the guys that we're talking about, like if you look around the league right now, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, you're seeing guys who've played lots of football and been journeymen kind of find it later in their career and having some success. And if you have a guy like that who has the talent to maybe do that, that kind of fits the Jameis Winston thing. Like maybe he could find a resurgence here and be a guy for a couple years that could win you some games. So I don't think he's your long-term solution, but could he be your bridge? Could he be a guy who could win you some games? Like there's this whole rebuild narrative out there that they're not going to rebuild, Mike. I'm telling you.
No,
they're not going to rebuild.
I agree. I 100% agree.
They're pivoting to 2025 and trying to win in 2025. 100%. So if he gives you the best chance to win, I think that's maybe it. So
you don't have the luxury right now to rebuild. That's the thing. You
can't.
The luxury isn't there to rebuild. I know everybody saw them trade Amari Cooper and thought rebuild. Absolutely not. Amari Cooper wasn't going to be here next year. And listen, you're 1-6. So a lot of guys that you're not anticipating being here for next year or the year after that are probably going to get looked at pretty solidly in the trade market this year. You're going to see more players go because you stink. But you're not going to see like all these people saying like you're going to get rid of these like cornerstone players. I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked. No. I would be shocked. It's not going to happen.
You can't. Like it's financially built in and I'll talk about this more later, but the way Barry has pushed everything down the road financially,
yes,
you would be screwing yourself if you got rid of some of these guys that you've just extended in your young core. Yes, you do need to get younger, but we'll talk about some of that later. And there are some guys that should be traded. Yes, some of the trade talk is ridiculous, OG Philly. So it is. Miles trade talk I find ridiculous.
Unbelievable.
All that stuff. So
what are we talking about? The ones that kill me are the ones that are like, they should trade him. What are you watching? What sport are you watching?
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
So we'll see with Jameis. I'm honestly, can I say I'm just excited to watch him play quarterback on Sunday? I am. Anybody other than 4, I'm excited to watch. I was so tired of watching that offense with him. I'm just ready to watch anything else. Which brings me to my next topic.
Brett, real quick. It's got a chance. I don't know if it's going to look as good as the offense looked with Flacco last year, but it's got a chance to look real similar.
Well,
because Jameis is the guy that fits the system they're trying to run. Drop back and get rid of the ball. Drop back. Jameis is going to throw. Remember how many picks Joe Flacco threw last year? He threw a ton. Jameis is going to throw some picks, but he's going to make some plays that Deshaun Watson was not making because he refused to get rid of the ball on time.
Well, look at the throw he made, just the one throw in garbage time on Sunday for the touchdown. Right. Nobody else is throwing that ball, but he throws it perfectly to Njoku, and he catches it on the back end line. So it's a perfect example of what. Now, when we talk about offense and stuff, we're going to get to this later, which is why I find the play calling thing a little peculiar to what you just said. And we'll get to that in a little bit. But I can't believe it's Thursday and we're still talking about this, but Shelby Harris has forced our hands here a little bit. I thought I said my piece last night on this, but we're gonna have to talk about it again, and some people are gonna disagree with me here, I think, but that's okay. I can live with that. But here is Shelby Harris on his podcast.
It was one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen, because no matter what the man's past is, if he was out there scoring touchdowns for you, and if we were having a better season here, it would have been none of that. And so now we're just getting to the ugly nature of what the NFL and what the fans are. But also, think about how it makes the other players on the team feel when someone else, one of their brothers, is out there giving it their all, and he gets hurt doing it while giving it his all, and you hearing cheering from the fans. It's bigger than football, and I think the fans got to realize you lost a lot of the players that day.
All right, so that was Shelby.
This is Shelby Harris, and you're listening to All Eyes on Cleveland.
So,
Sorry, Shelby.
All right. Here are my thoughts on this, Mike, and then I want to get yours. The idea of cheering someone injured is a disgusting act, and I do think he makes a good point about, and Pete pointed this out last night, about if he was playing well. Like Pete pointed this out to me last night in the middle of a rant I was kind of having on this. Hey, when he got hurt last year after the Baltimore game, what was the fans feeling? It was disappointment, right? Right. Okay. So yeah, totally different story this year because he's been all-time bad. But the overblown portion of this, I know, Rob. I know you want me to move on from the topic, but this just came out about Shelby, so I'm going to speak on it. So thanks
for
the show input.
Hey, I don't like. Hey, it's Outback Steakhouse. I don't like steak. Can you make me a chicken sandwich?
Yeah, have it your way at Burger King or wherever they do that at. Not here. But either way, Shelby saying you lost the fans. Michael Irving getting up on his the whole pointing down and scolding of the Browns fans. I find ridiculous. It was a couple hundred people or whatever it was. And I think that you heard today Jameis Winston and Nick Chubb change their messaging. If you heard, so initially Winston came out really strong, but he changed his messaging today to, I know it wasn't everybody. It was just, a couple, and that was unfortunate. So he changed his messaging on it. Chubb was very good about it. I thought he handled it probably better than anybody, saying, it's unfortunate a couple of people, but you got to understand this, that. Got it. We got it. We know it's a bad look. It's about self-awareness, Mike. I think more people were cheering for the fact that there was change coming. It's change. People wanted to see change. You are being gaslit by your head coach week in, week out, by your GM, playing this guy over and over again when he's all-time bad and telling us he gives you the best chance to win. And then you sit there and you're forced to watch it, held hostage. Nobody wants it, and he gets hurt. There's going to be people that cheer. It would have happened in 32 other cities. And
Yes.
how does it come out of all of this that a 1-6 Browns team is telling the fan base to be better? It's just ironic. It's unfortunate. And I wish everybody sat on their hands and nobody cheered. Yes, I listened to the sound. It doesn't even sound that bad at all. Sounds like maybe there were a couple idiots that you could hear. Like, it's just totally overblown. And now you have people on the national base like scolding Browns fans. I hate it, Mike. I hate it. It irks me to my core. And this coming from Shelby irks me too. Like, you lost the fans. You lost the fans. What?
Hey, listen. First of all, we got this comment from Demaster about Browns fans. Go look up other fan bases that have done this, because they all have. Okay? They all have. This is nonsensical to make this act like this is a Cleveland thing. Here's my take on this, Brad. I don't like cheering a guy when he's down. I would not have cheered.
I wouldn't have either.
I wouldn't have. And I cannot stand Deshaun Watson. And listen, part of what Shelby Harris says, if he was playing better, would this happen? No. But you know why that also makes sense as to why maybe some fans did cheer? Because all the shit we have had to go through with this Deshaun Watson stuff that we didn't ask for, we didn't want any of this. We had to go through all this. And man, at least the fact that we've had to defend being Browns fans for the last 3 years, you could have made the juice a little bit worth the squeeze. You could have been halfway decent 1 or 2 times. I'm not saying I would have cheered him because he's down, but acting like this dude came in here and was good, he wasn't good. So we had to defend it all the time. Every time you talk to somebody that isn't a Browns fan, they're like, oh my God, but how are you doing this Deshaun Watson thing? You've had to defend it over and over and over and over again. And then he sucks terribly. So Shelby, you're not wrong. If he played great and that happened, would the cheers have happened? No, probably not. But it's a culmination of everything. There's context to this. And here's the other thing. I don't even mind that they came out and said, man, I think that's kind of gross. I think that's kind of gross that the fans booed. I don't mind. That's fine.
Yes,
but
it is gross.
Here's the lines we heard. Here's the lines we heard, Brad. We heard
he's a model citizen.
We heard Myles Garrett is my favorite player in the NFL, and he said the dumbest thing I've ever heard. For the most part in his NFL career, he's been a model citizen. We heard Jameis Winston talk about woe is Deshaun Watson. The last 3 years, the whole world has been against him. Woe is Deshaun. And now you hear Shelby Harris. Saying, what did he say about Deshaun? I don't remember what he said, but he said
puts his body on the line every week.
He just said something similar. He said, this dude is a gross dude. And I know he's your teammate. And I know you guys are with him in the trenches, and it's going to make you feel a certain way about what he is. But, what Shelby said that pissed me off. No matter what the man's past is, I'm sorry. Yeah. No, we're not skipping over the past anymore. We tried to do that.
Yep.
We tried to act like we were fine with that. We tried to. Not fine with it. I shouldn't say that, but we tried to act like we could get past it and figure something out. But no, we're not going to do no matter what the man's past is. The man's past is sick. And it's disgusting. And to just throw it out there like, well, it doesn't matter what his past is. He's hurt. Sorry.
Right.
I wouldn't have cheered it. I don't think the people that did cheer it are right to do that.
No.
But get the hell off the backs of the fans. These fans have,
the soapbox.
These fans have
everybody
given these players more than these players have given the fans. I'll tell you that much.
100%. That's the issue, right? It's the people lining up to get on the soapbox to scold Browns fans that I'm not okay with. Yes, they were wrong. They shouldn't do that. Nobody should ever do that. But this has layers, folks. This has layers and layers and layers. It's more complicated than just my brother was down on the field. And I get it's that simple for these guys because they don't care what he did in his past. It doesn't matter to him. It doesn't matter how well it's a totally different situation. And I also will be very forward that I do blame the organization a huge part in this. By running him out there continually when you know he's this bad and telling us that he gives you the best chance to win, lying to us, while you were on the road for 3 weeks, knowing you're going to come home at the end of it and still starting him. I said it for 3 weeks. It's going to be ugly. I didn't know it was going to happen in this fashion, but I said it's going to be ugly, and it turned out ugly this way. And it's just, frankly, it irks me that everybody is taking their shot now. How do the Browns fans come out the bad guys in all of this?
Listen,
that's
Shelby,
shocking.
Shelby, dude, man, again, I really like Shelby. I think
I like Shelby too.
He's a good dad. He's a good dude. But no, I'm not worried about losing the players because you guys are going to come and go. And we want you to love Cleveland, and we want you to love being a Brown, and we want you to be a lifetime, and we want that kind of culture here. But all these players are going to come and go. These players don't seem real worried about losing the fans. When you come out and say you're losing the players, well, what? I'm sorry, if we lose the players, Brad, if we lose the players, what's it going to do? Get worse?
Yeah.
Is it going to get worse?
I don't know. Yeah.
Where's the threat?
Be better is what they kept saying. Be better. Okay. You be better.
Thank you.
You be better. You're 1-6. You be better. People are pissed. People are pissed. I know. I remember Tim Couch. I remember it all. I know. I get it.
And it wasn't right with Tim Couch. It
wouldn't happen in every other city if they had Deshaun. I'm sorry. I wouldn't have cheered him. I wouldn't have done it. It was classless. But I think it was about a couple hundred people who have been boozing all day long, and now you got the entire country getting on their soapbox. It's stupid. It's stupid.
100%.
Anyways, moving on. Because it should have been put to bed. To Rob's point, I don't want to talk about it either, Rob. I don't want to talk about it anymore either. So I didn't mean to get on your case about that. But, Shelby wants to talk about how he's losing. You're losing the fans.
No, the fans are losing the players.
When did we have the players this year?
Yeah.
When was that? Okay. All right. So the next thing is this play calling change, right? And this is on its face, it is puzzling to me, Mike. The whole thing. And why now? Okay, so Stefanski has been calling plays for 3+ years here and 2 years or 1 year in Minnesota. So he's been calling plays for like 5-6+ years now, right? And he's been asked a ton of times are you going to give it up? Are you going to do this with ABP? Nope. He's keeping it. He's going to call plays. And then, last year he really showed everybody why he can be a great sequencer of plays. He worked magic to 11 wins and a playoff berth last year with his play calling and all this stuff. I think he's a good player caller. I think he's a good coach. I think he's a good offensive mind. I do. It pissed me off that he gaslit us for the past, 3 weeks, of course, but
the whole organization has.
Yes. A lot of people are saying this is coming from ownership. I don't believe that to be true at all. I think this is his call. The thing with Stefanski is he's a calculated thinker, Mike. He would have not made this decision on a whim. He would have sat down and thought through all the angles of it and what it means for the team, what it means for him, what it means for the organization. Like, he is a very calculated decision maker. He's smart. His dad was a GM of a basketball team. He's got smart people around him that understand how professional organizations work. So to act like there's no political ramifications here, I think is somewhat naive. To think this is just a football move, personally. I do think it does have something to do with football. I think that what you had was too much collaboration. So if you go back and watch tape, you've got Dorsey on the sideline and you've got him on the sideline going back and forth, trying to call plays in, and they're talking about what do you like here? You know what I mean? And they're so collaborated that plays aren't getting in on time. Stuff is getting screwed up, penalties, all this stuff. So the question, though, for me is, what's the logical move? If you want to streamline that process, the logical move for me is send Dorsey up to the booth or send him to go coach quarterbacks or something and have Kevin do what he does best and call plays, right? Why would he be the one to step out and have Dorsey call the plays?
So I'm gonna devil's advocate it for a minute, and
Sure.
It's because we've seen it a little bit before. We saw it that year, that the year that the Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, Baker Mayfield team collapsed. But I don't know that we have seen a team under Kevin Stefanski that has been this boneheaded and just filled with stupid mistakes. I mean, how many times are the same mistakes gonna get made over and over and over? How many times have you ever seen the illegal shift penalty called this much in your entire life, as it's called against the Cleveland Browns multiple times a game? So I think part of this, now again, do we want to go into like deep state conspiracy theory stuff? We could go there, but from a football perspective only, Brad, I do think that Kevin Stefanski is looking the way his team is playing like a bunch of morons that have never played the game before. When I'm watching these dudes break the huddle, go out to their spot, and then go in motion when everybody is clearly not set yet, which you learn about in like 7th grade, I think Kevin Stefanski is looking at this going, you know what? My services might be better used in some of these other areas that we are not
cleaning everything else up
on. And I listen, I've never called for him to stop making plays, Brad. I think Kevin Stefanski is an elite level play caller in the NFL. I think it has won him Coach of the Year, his play calling abilities. But I think there is a bit of this that is him going, and again, I think there's a little collaboration issue as far as, I don't think people understand. This doesn't mean Kevin Stefanski doesn't have involvement in the plays that are getting called.
Right.
Like, Kevin and Dorsey are going to put a game plan together, and Dorsey is going to call plays based on that game plan. So to act like Kevin Stefanski is just removing himself from that is ridiculous. But I think during the game, I think this is Kevin saying, my team is really terrible in this area, and I need to get over there and help them with this.
Yeah.
And I think that is a major part in this. Like I said, I saw Jack in the comments saying something before about maybe there's something deeper than this. I don't know. I'm not in that building. I don't know about that, but I think there's an element of it that does make sense, Brad.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. On the football side, I think it does make sense too. As someone just said in the chat, Pat Shea, to streamline the process. And I agree. And saying Dorsey knows this offense much better. But what offense are they running right now? So let's talk about that for a minute. The offense that they're running has been all year some Dorsey, some Stefanski. It's been a mix. It's a hybrid of both. You can find a lot of Dorsey influence, but like RPO, to Pete's point last night, RPO and choice routes aren't an offense. Those are concepts, right? That's not an offense. This is just concepts that a lot of teams around the NFL use, right? So, and more shotgun is just a concept, right? It's not an offense. So, yes, there is stuff that looks like Dorsey stuff, but you've also seen in the past few weeks more heavy personnel, more under center, some of the stuff of Stefanski coming back.
Yes.
Now, I don't know what Winston fits better. I thought it was Stefanski's offense, because he reminds you a little bit of Flacco's style and the success that they had last year. And you need to keep more guys in to protect the quarterback. So that's why I thought that it would make more sense to give Kevin the play calling, have Dorsey go do whatever. But you're right, it's a shit show everywhere else. So I understand why he would go to OG Villie's point. He's an under center play action quarterback, which is right up Stefanski's alley. So at this point, the team is struggling with spread and option routes, right? Which is why I don't know. And that was all for Deshaun. And he had agency and all of that himself. He's hurt now. He's gone. I don't understand what purpose it does to go forward with the Dorsey plan offensively at this point.
Well, like I said, we've
Does
watched.
That make sense? Do you see why I'm questioning?
100%. 100%.
Like, why are we going forward with this offense that has not worked at all, that they're not very good at executing, if the quarterback you made it for and put in place for is gone?
I think the thing I would just caution, as far as still knowing that Kevin Stefanski is leading this team and knowing that he's still going to have an input on this, is I would caution everybody to say, I don't think we're just going to see like blanket Ken Dorsey offense, no Kevin Stefanski influence, right? Ken's going to call plays, but again, the game plan is going to get put together this week with Dorsey and Stefanski and their entire staff, right? Like, these guys are all sitting around that table making a game plan for this week. So I don't know. Do we get into a situation where we're in the middle of the third quarter and maybe we're in a close game and Ken Dorsey just can't help himself but get back to a situation? I don't know. But there's just, until we see it, we're all reacting to something that we need to see it happen first. We need to see how it unfolds first. So I think your point's really fair, Brad. But I still think we're going to see the influence of Kevin Stefanski in this offense.
Brad, as it stands, we really have no idea what that offense is or does. Now we have a chance to find out. That's fair. You want to evaluate the offense that Dorsey brought over with a different quarterback. I'll listen to that. Although I don't, once again, to what end goal? You don't know who your future quarterback is. Shouldn't you right now just be trying to get as much offense as you can with your current roster? And isn't the shortest point from one to another Stefanski running what he does best with Winston?
But again, devil's advocate, Brad, I think part of this, I don't know that Ken Dorsey's job is secure.
I'm not saying I don't think it is either. I would be surprised if he's back next year.
So everybody's sitting here talking about Kevin Stefanski's job. And again, I think his seat is hotter than what anybody thought it would be. I don't know that I think it's blazing hot at this point. But I think we're at a point with Kevin Stefanski where it's a little bit of leading by example, Brad. Dude is giving up something that he loves to do. He's giving up something that he's known for.
Right.
And will it be the best decision for this team? I don't know, but they're 1-6. So how many bad decisions can you make, right?
Yeah.
So this is a 1-6 football team that, unless they win out, they're not going to be a playoff team. So he's dropping. He is leading by example, saying, "Listen, I'm going to sacrifice my thing so that I can go be a part of this other thing. We're going to let Ken Dorsey see if he can work a little magic." Again, if they were one game under 500 and this happened, I'd be like, whoa, this is really strange. But I think at 1-6, to me, somebody said it in the comments before, I don't think this is a sign that Kevin Dorsey's job. Kevin Stefanski's job is in danger. I think Kevin Stefanski feels real secure in his job.
I think he does too.
I think he feels real secure in his job, and that's why he's doing this. I think he's trying to like set a tone almost with this team. Like, I'm going to go handle this other stuff to get our shit together. And so, yeah.
So let's see if he can get that together. I think it is a procedural thing, no doubt, and he's going to try to clean up some stuff. He'll still be a big impact in the offense. It just was weird timing that, and it's no doubt. And somebody mentioned in the chat earlier that, and it's very true, Watson did prefer to have Stefanski in his ear. He talked about it in his podcast this summer a lot, and a lot of that stuff. So, that Stefanski just got an extension. Like a lot of, there's the NFL notifications trying to say he's getting fired at week 10. I don't think Stefanski's going anywhere. I don't. I think he does feel secure in his job, to your point, Mike. I think the Dorsey experiment has been a fail. That's how I look at it too, a little bit. But to that point, I've been really hard on Watson. So maybe we got to see it with another quarterback. So we'll see. It's hard to evaluate anything when he was under center. So, but going back to my point about Stefanski being calculated and that he wouldn't make this decision lightly because he never has. Don't you think there's a little bit of like, hey, I can step back, and if things look really good, then I made the right decision and I look good. But if things stay status quo and look really crappy, then I still look good. So
100%. Right.
Politically, it makes sense for him to do as well.
You talked about calculations, and you talked about the way Kevin Stefanski works and how he thinks. You can't think that hasn't gone through his head.
It had to go through his mind.
Of course.
Yeah.
And listen, if I think too many people are using the end of Dorsey's tenure in Buffalo to say he can't be a good offensive coordinator. That's not how the NFL works. We have seen it over and over and over and over and over again. Guys that have failed in one place come out and get the same position in a different place, and they crush it.
Yep.
We've seen it over and over.
Yep.
So let's say Ken Dorsey comes out and just lights up the play calling. And let's say Kevin Stefanski focusing on this other part of the game and really being a manager for his entire team and a boss for his entire team. And let's say all of a sudden there's a response to this. Kevin looks like a genius. There's a no lose here for Kevin Stefanski.
Yep. That's what I think I think that's where it makes the most sense almost is from his, political perspective on this, right? Like, so it does. I mean, yes, you want to streamline it, but he's going to look good either way, right? Or not look worse either way. So we'll see. Interesting timing though. Of course. We've been hearing so much about this rebuild, Mike, and I just want to point this out that I think it's a gross overreaction. The team won 11 games last year, and that, cleaning house, this wanting to fire Stefanski and Barry. Now, it seems to be more people calling for Barry's head at this point, but I don't think that either are getting fired at the end of this year. I think that good organizations don't make rash decisions based on one bad year. And Serge brings up what everybody keeps saying. Do you trust Barry to make the next pick? And I would say what Pat Shea is saying, the roster is not the problem here.
I've been asked that question a lot because I've stood up a little bit for Andrew Barry's draft record because I think Browns fans are judging Andrew Barry's third round picks as if they're first round picks because they are typically the first picks of the draft.
Yeah.
The last couple of years.
Yeah.
And so they're looking at Cedric Tillman as if they need to be judging him with first round pick glasses on.
Yeah.
And yeah, has Andrew Berry's record been stunning in the draft? No. Jed Wills didn't turn out to be a player, but I think there's a lot of that's hindsight. Jed Wills got picked exactly where everybody thought he was going to get picked. And people are in here arguing with me that Tristan Wirfs was like, everybody knew Tristan Wirfs was going to be better. Not the case at all.
Yeah.
I think Greg Newsome has been, I think if you said Greg Newsome was going to be a starter from day one, and a major part of what has been a really good defense, I know he's not the most popular guy. I think that's more because of how he acts than anything, but like,
yeah,
Greg, I don't think Greg's not been a bad pick. JOK's been a great pick. Grant Delpit's been a great pick.
Great pick.
He's had good, I think David Bell's a good pick for the third round. And when he's healthy, he's a go-to player on this team. I think there have been hits and misses, but I think he's had so many later round picks that judging him as if he had a bunch of first round picks, I think it's just, I don't love it. I don't love it. So do I trust him to pick? The quarterback? Yeah. And with the caveat that I do think Andrew Berry's got I think he's in prove it territory at this point. But they all put themselves there, Brad. They all put themselves there with this Deshaun Watson deal.
Yep.
They've handicapped themselves on everything. Yep. They've handicapped themselves on everything with this Deshaun Watson deal. And so, yeah, I want to see him go make that quarterback pick in the draft. And if it fails, okay, well, now you've been a part of making the worst deal in NFL history, and you missed out on a high draft pick quarterback. Now I'm into talking about, is Andrew Berry the right guy for this job? But he hasn't made enough top level draft picks for me to like judge whether or not he can do it.
Yeah. And I agree. I'm not ready to judge him fully on that, because when he has missed, at least he's compensated for it in other ways on the roster. It's not a not talented roster, and that's kind of the thing that I wanted to address here is like people are talking about this roster like it's in shambles and traded off for parts, but I just wanted to go through this with you real quick. I did this exercise. Tell me where I'm wrong here. These are guys that I expect to be around next year. Ready? All right.
Ready to go.
Wide receiver room. Jerry Jeudy, said Tillman, Jamari Thrash, David Bell. Anybody else? Chat. Nope. Anybody else you think should be here next year? All right. Offensive line. Bitonio, retirement is an option, but he's under contract for another year. Teller, Conklin, maybe, depending on his health. DeJuan Jones, Pochik, Whippler, Zinter. Anybody else?
I this might be right out of my butt because I don't know contract situation, but I think James Hudson is probably a guy that's just back. I think he's just a depth tackle, and I think he's more. I think he's another one of those guys that everybody thinks he stinks, but he's just thrust into the starter role so much that I think as a depth tackle, I think James Hudson's a valuable player.
He's a good run blocker. He can't pass protect worth anything. He's like putting a traffic cone out there when you ask him to block off the edge. But I also kind of unfair.
I also think, though, for salary cap purposes and all that, you're not going to go out and sign some other big name tackle. I think James Hudson he's the fourth tackle on the team, and I think he serves that role pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also just don't know. Like, again, we have so many injuries every year on that offensive line, and everybody's like, how many teams are out there with 4 good tackles?
I don't know what. I'm trying to find Hudson's contract. I don't see his name here. Oh, because he's on IR.
All right.
Duh, Brad. All right. There he is. He's 25 years old. Please work computer. All right.
Go
He
Contract.
is a free agent in the offseason.
Oh, well, there you
So,
go.
I mean, you can bring him back probably on the cheap, but I don't really care. At this point, it's about, like I wouldn't care if they used him at guard. I thought the same thing, DeAndre, about Dunn. He just had a terrible game last week. Like if he's gonna play that bad, then go ahead and put Zenter in there. But I mean, he played better the week before, just last week. Terrible. All right. So the cupboard isn't bare at offensive line. You need some young talent. You need a left tackle. These are all things that are very, very important. I think DeJuan Jones should be their left tackle, but you can't start to make that transition until he's healthy. Everything was pushed. You can kind of point to this offensive line and the health of Wills and Conklin and Jones not recovering from an injury the year prior, slowing down what happened in the offseason, leading all the way into the season, and kind of getting everything off on the wrong foot. I feel like they had a training camp that was lazy and nobody was together, and it was very light work because everybody was injured and all this stuff. And this is the stuff I hate right here. The Browns are done for at least 5 years. That's absurd. They'll be competitive next year, I think. So
no, but I think when we're talking about the offensive line, Brad, I think it's also you need like a little big talent in there. Like you need somebody that's going to be like right now we're talking about aging Bitonio, right? We're talking about, I mean, I love Wyatt Teller, but unless he's going to stay healthy, he's a good player. But if he's not healthy, it's a problem. You got to have a big talent player out there like that. That you need that big talent left tackle mauler that kind of sets the tone for the offensive line. So they've got to find a way to approach that because that guy's not on the roster right now.
Agreed. I think that offensive line is I have written down as priority number 2 on my offseason stuff here. So you have to address it. All right, tight end Njoku. He's not going anywhere. He's a weapon. He's young. He's good. Quarterback room. DTR probably be back. That's about it, right?
Wipe it clean. Just get rid of the room.
Yeah. And then running back, I have Chubb, Ford, and question mark next to Strong, but I don't really care about Strong. But Chubb and Ford, I think, are back, right?
Yep.
This is what we're doing right now. So it's not an obvious rebuild. You literally can't do it with the financial situation. And kind of Andrew Berry has built his. Like if you were to fire Andrew Berry, it would be a mess to bring in another GM because the way he has financially planned everything, Mike.
It
would be hard. No,
I know that's the way it makes sense, Brad, what you're saying. It wouldn't be that hard. There's only so many general manager jobs in the NFL. Like to act like people are just going to turn it down.
Yes, but he is the only one operating this way, Mike.
I know, but it kind of. I mean, it's not like other guys don't operate somewhat this way.
Some, not to this extent.
But
spent more money in the last 3 years than any other team in the NFL because of the way he operated.
Any guy that thinks he's worth his salt as a general manager thinks he can come in and operate his way in a job. So, like again, there's just only so many of these jobs. I think the talking point that nobody's going to want the job is just completely overrated.
That I'm not saying that. I'm not saying people won't want the job. I'm saying that he is best to move forward because he has planned it out for the last 10 years. He knows the next steps.
Yeah, we're hoping he knows the next steps. Anyways,
defense, Myles Garrett, Ogbo Okoronkwo, Tomlinson, Isaiah McGuire, Alex Wright, Mike Hall. Anybody else?
Nope.
That's not bad.
Well, no, it's not bad. And we'll see who they trade. Obviously.
You think somebody out of there gets traded?
No. I'm sitting here thinking when they.
So Tomlinson is a good example for So Tomlinson is a guy who you might want to trade off or whatever, but he has so much dead money pushed into the
Right.
future, you can't.
No, I think the obvious guy for trade market this year is Z.
Yeah, Zadarius. Yep.
He signed a 2-year deal in the offseason, right? So,
yeah, but I think
so
you
if
can
they
do
don't
it.
if they don't trade him, I would expect to see him back just cuz.
Yeah, I think he's a pretty high trade candidate
I think
at
so
this
too.
point.
I agree, but if he doesn't get traded, I'd expect him back.
All right. Yeah. But with Mike Hall, McGuire's looked good. Alex Wright coming back from injury. Myles Garrett, Ogbo. I think you can supplement that in the offseason and be okay.
100%.
All right. Cornerback room. You're bringing back Ward, Emerson, and Mitchell. You can talk about Greg Newsome, but I have him on my trade block.
He should be. I think he's the number one guy on the trade block.
Yeah.
Him and Z.
I think so.
I think those are the two top guys.
Yeah. Agreed, Bradley. Also a very good point. He's also signed for 2 more years, I believe. Safety, you're fine too. You're bringing back Hickman, Delpit, and D'Anthony Bell is a restricted free agent. So if you want him back, you can have him back for cheap. I have Thornhill on the block.
Mm-hmm. I think so far we're hitting the guys on the block 100%. I think Z, I think Newsome, I think Thornhill. This is the type of guys.
Yep.
If you want to get something back, you're going to have to trade some valuable players. And I know we may not view.
I don't value those guys that much.
What's that?
I don't even value those guys that much.
No, but I think around the league, we got like
around the league, yeah.
Again, here in Cleveland, there's certain ways that we talk about guys, but I think if you talked around the league, there'd be a whole bunch of teams lined up to trade for Greg Newsome. There's going to be several teams lined up to trade for Z. Thornhill with the injury issue, we'll see. But these are the guys. These names that they can go out there and they can make plays. These are going to be guys that teams want to go out and trade for.
Yeah.
And I totally disagree. Listen, Doob Scoop.
What's not working, MC? I missed this. What's not working? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, while you look for that, Doob Scoop is obviously the smartest guy in the room, but he is wrong on pretty much everything.
Oh, I'm not in a bad mood. Yeah, he's incorrect, I believe, as well.
Yeah,
but he's entitled to his opinion. You're all entitled to your opinion. I disagree.
Yeah, we'll call you out when it's wrong, though.
Yeah. I'm not in a bad mood. I'm just talking. I'm talking shop with Mike, man. That's what we're doing, bruh.
We're fixing the Browns.
Yeah. All right. So I
linebacker,
don't see
JOK.
a huge issue at safety. So linebacker, JOK, Diabate, Jordan Hicks has another year. I'd like to bring him back. And then we haven't seen anything from Watson because he's been hurt, Nathaniel Watson. So I'm not worried about that either. Your kicking battery is good if Hopkins gets his head on straight. And that's where we're at. I mean, that's offense, defense. That's not a ton. So my trade list looks like this. Mike, tell me if you disagree with any, okay? Were you laughing at me?
No, I'm laughing at there's a guy in the comments that just said you should trade Myles Garrett for Michael Penix in a first.
Yep. Alex. He did that. He said that last night too.
Can we I need more beer. What? What?
More beer, yeah. Yeah. So Greg Newsome, Mo Hurst, Shelby Harris is now on my trade block. Thornhill and Elijah Moore can all go.
100%.
And I'm an Elijah Moore truther, but I watched the All-22 last week. He was jogging his ass off. He didn't run one route hard all freaking night.
And Brad, we
neither
talked
did Judy half the time.
Early in the show, we talked about some of the penalties. And I will tell you, in a lot of those illegal shift penalties, when we've had players go in motion. Now, the person who goes in motion, it's their job to look over and make sure everybody's set before they go in motion. But I will tell you that a lot of the time it has been Elijah Moore slowly working his ass out to his spot that that he takes him forever to get out to where he's going and to line up, and it's been a problem. So I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
And listen, I keep seeing in the comments a lot about they need capital. They need capital. Listen, capital's fun. It's great. Draft capital, great. They got 8 picks in this draft. They're back to having draft capital. I know maybe you want 15 picks in the draft. They got 8. They got 8 picks coming. So there is draft capital coming.
Yeah, there's plenty of draft capital coming, and you're still going to restructure Watson's deal. You're still going to have cap room this year to spend on free agents. Like you can. Nowhere in Barry's model is there any kind of rebuild. This is a pivot towards competing still. I'm sorry. What's his name? Dubsack? Dubsack? You're wrong. You're wrong. They can get better on the offensive line and look at the teams that are having success right now with bridge quarterbacks around the NFL. So it's fine. It's not fine right now, but
this is listen. This again, Brad. It's again just going back to the fact that you're not in a terrible spot. Your season sucks, and so everything is viewed by all of everybody. Everything is viewed. Dubsack. Okay, cool. We're delusional. You're right. He's still mad that I said I think David Bell is a go-to player, even though he has been over and over and over again in Kevin Stefanski's offense every fourth down that's ever happened. Everything is being viewed in what the opposite of rose-colored glasses. The opposite of that. Everything is terrible now. Everybody sucks. It's not going to get better. That's how things happen when you're 1-6. Here's the issue. When you read off, Brad, the players that you think are going to be on the roster, that is a hell of a roster.
Yes.
When you read off the guys that are like, these are the obvious guys that you keep on the roster next year, holy shit, it's a great roster.
Yeah.
So, like, again, it's not this desperation, like, horrible situation. And now it's time. Now it's time for Andrew Berry and his staff to prove that they can take something that feels like it's teetering on the edge and pull it back and get it back into that situation, because this team is right there. If they can figure it out, that's right there, even with a bridge quarterback, to compete next year.
I think Bradley, like, that's why I want to see Winston this year, is because we already talked about this. He fits that mold of the guy that's finding success in the NFL right now. So, which brings us full circle back to kind of why I'm questioning why Dorsey's calling plays. But still, we know that Stefanski will have his impact, and we're going to get to see him play this week. And if he doesn't do well, that's fine. There's plenty of other guys around the league that have been in and out of organizations and started a lot. But man, Winston has started a lot of games. In his most recent stop in New Orleans, he even cut down on his interceptions big time. So I think it was like 20-4 or something before he got hurt. So, we'll see what he can do. But yes, I agree, Bradley. He is an option as a bridge. No doubt.
P.S. Brad, real quick. Did you see Jennifer's comment there? I keep forgetting about this. And Jennifer put a comment up. It's the big long one there, the paragraph.
Yeah.
Dude, the Browns are going to be on Hard Knocks.
Oh, yeah. I wrote about this. I wrote about it.
Oh, my God. I cannot wait. I can't wait. I cannot wait for this.
So
it's most exciting. I'm more excited about this than watching any other part of any Browns game the rest of the year.
Yeah. So they're on Hard Knocks. You're right, Jennifer. I wrote about it and things I think I know. So it's the last 6 weeks of the season.
Ooh.
And it starts. So they will, NFL Films gains access, and we'll have the showrunner on our episode here. He's come on every year for Hard Knocks. We waited this year because we were new there in season, but he's a very good guy. He'll talk about it all, but they gain access the week of the Monday night game in Denver. So that'll be the first week they have access to the building, is what I've been told. So it's all of the AFC North, yes. So the Browns' role could be diminished in the show, certainly, as they have to cover 4 teams.
Something tells me they're going to have a prevalent part in that.
Yeah, I think they'll have.
Something tells
They'll
me they're
still
going to be
be
a star player.
telling the story there, whatever that story is. So, yeah. Yes, I agree. They should have benched Watson earlier. Dubsack, I agree. I think
Nobody's
everybody
disagreeing with that
in the entire country thought that, except for Kevin.
Or whoever else was making that call.
Yeah. So in the non-rebuild thing here, top priorities: quarterback, O-line, wide receiver, defensive tackle. Objections?
No, none. Depending on what happens with Greg Newsome, you may throw another corner on that list. An area that I have ultimate faith in
Them drafting
at finding somebody good to play, because he's great at that. But nah, I mean, man, I would love a. It's been hard to find that explosive wide receiver. And I wonder how much of that isn't offensive, because I think we kind of expected Jerry Jeudy to come in here and show a little more explosiveness than he has. Because that's the kind of player he's supposed to be. And maybe just not getting the ball in his hands a lot is part of that problem. But not a lot. There's not a lot of explosiveness when they get the ball in the hands of their guys. It's a lot of catch the ball, get tackled, don't make a lot of guys miss. So I would love to see a little more explosiveness. I mean, I think that should be a primary target this offseason, is some kind of explosive playmaker at the wide receiver position, because it makes such a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Jeudy crashing out on Sunday, it was definitely concerning. Yeah, yep. He did. He talked about it this week too. At least he was honest about it and forward about it, right? He did behave like a crybaby. But wide receivers are often prima donnas. We know this. You know this, but it comes with the territory. So, listen, Moore did the same thing, Alex. You're right. Moore was suspended, but then he walked through his routes the rest of the game. I mean, it was so bad, man. I was so angry. Like, because Moore is a notoriously hard worker in the offseason, a guy that's really about his game and just drills and drills. So I've always been a big fan of him, but man, he dogged the shit out of it. In the game, and that was it. So that's it for me. I'm out on him. And that's it for Dubsack. Removed from the chat.
Bye.
See ya. So yeah. They need another wide receiver. They need
Can I tell you something, Brad?
Yeah.
I don't mean to call out Mark, because again, you can have your opinions. I'm so tired of hearing that Andrew Berry has a problem because he drafted Anthony Schwartz. He drafted him in the 3rd round, y'all. He's a 3rd round draft pick. He took a flyer on a dude with elite speed in the 3rd round. That's what you do in the 3rd round. What? Like, I feel like I'm losing my mind. In the 3rd round and the 4th round, you're finding players with attributes that you're looking for, and you're hoping they develop into something. But God bless America if everybody isn't acting like Andrew Berry drafted Anthony Schwartz with a 1st round pick.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
And then this is what will happen. Then this is what will happen. I'm seeing it in the chat. Yeah, well, Amon-Ra St. Brown got drafted after that. You know who else passed on Amon-Ra St. Brown? Everybody, multiple times.
Yeah.
You know who else passed on Puka Nacua? Oh, everybody, multiple times. This is why when you act like, I don't know why people evaluate the draft with this thing where it's like, again, the numbers tell you the story. 50% of all first-round draft picks become starters in the NFL. You know what that means? 50% don't.
Yeah.
And then it goes down by 50% every round after that. So in the third round, you're at something like 16% of third-round draft picks become starters in the NFL. You want your guys to hit. You want them to hit. But when I hear people, when I see this, people argue with me all the time. Yeah, but Puka Nacua. Yeah, everybody passed on him. If people knew what Amon-Ra St. Brown was going to turn into, guess when he would have gotten drafted?
Yeah. Listen, nobody said drafting's easy. Do I wish should he have a better record drafting wide receivers in the third round? He's had a lot of them, Mike. So yeah, he should. But I'm not ready to quit on him yet, is what I'm saying.
I don't know. I feel like let's put up a list.
He also traded for Amari Cooper, a sixth, and then traded him out for a third. So, I mean, Ian got 2,000-yard seasons out of him. Best wide receiver the Browns have had since '99, sans Josh Gordon, right? So that is what you can talk down on his draft, all this stuff, whatever. He used late draft capital, to acquire the guy that has been your best wide receiver since the organization came back, and then flipped him for 3 rounds better of a pick than he got him for. So that is making up for it in a big way. And he gets a first and a second and a third and all these picks this year. So let's see what he does with them, because I don't think he's going to be gone, folks. I know you want him to be gone. I don't think he's going to be gone. So I'm not making excuses, illegal immigrant. I'm just saying since '99 and since this Barry and Stefanski were hired, they've been to the playoffs twice. I think it would be a mistake to get rid of them now after one bad year. So, and I don't think they will. I think that they will remain in place, and I think that's the smart move. So, it's getting ugly in the chat tonight. It's getting ugly in the chat tonight. I figured it would. You know, a lot of people don't want to hear this. They want to blow it all up right away. And
people are angry. And listen, I will say this. Y'all you got a right to be angry. What you're seeing out there is disgusting. What you're seeing this team do this year is disgusting. And now what you're seeing this team say about you and lumping us all in is ugly.
Yeah.
People
it is.
Be mad.
It's ugly. But listen, man, you don't have to watch 4 play quarterback this week. And you get to watch Winston play. And
Nick Chubb, you get to watch Nick Chubb play.
And Nick Chubb, and I'm willing to bet that they score over 20 points this week.
I think we actually have a close game this week, Brad. I think I think we got a close game this week.
Interesting.
I think we got
I don't know about that. I don't know if I'll go out that far on a limb, but I'm willing to say that they'll look better on offense.
It's not a good Ravens defense this year.
You don't think so?
It's not a great Ravens defense.
They looked pretty good last week.
They look good at times. They looked good for about half the game last week.
Yeah.
So it's not great.
Yeah. Listen, it'll be interesting. You're in, unfortunately, 26th in deep, Shay says. Interesting. Unfortunately, you're in, because you're 1-6, you're in evaluation mode, right? So a lot of what the rest of the season entails is evaluating what you have and what you want to move forward with. So that's what they're going to be doing. And, going into the future with what guys you want to be a part of this team, who bails, who quits on you. I don't want you don't want those guys a part of your organization. You're going to find out a lot here in the next few weeks about this team and about who you want to be a part of this culture. And unfortunately, for those of you hoping for the rebuild that takes, I don't know why you would want to rebuild that takes 6 years to start over, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Nah.
So,
and you're there. Next year, you show some positive signs of life this year, and next year you're right back in contention.
And I talked with Jack Duffin, and when he gets back from vacation, we're actually going to do a segment on exactly that, because Jack has been steadfast in the fact that they will compete in 2025 and will have the money to be players again. So, I think firing Stefanski and hiring Belichick would be,
oh, good Lord,
insanity. I do.
Oh, good Lord.
I really do.
Does he get? Do we get primetime Brady with that?
Yeah, that's wild. And before we get out of here, just for all of you, just a reminder.
This is Shelby Harris, and you're listening to All Eyes on Cleveland.
But he lost the fans.
Lost the players.
This is Shelby Harris, and you're listening to All Eyes on Cleveland.
Lost.
All right, we're going to get out of here. You guys are belligerent in the chat tonight. I appreciate all you guys for hanging out. Listen, the one thing I'll real quickly say, I do not want them to draft Shedeur Sanders, because it would be a nightmare. It would be a circus here. You would have Sanders on primetime radio spot every day. It would be nuts. It would be an absolute circus.
I want Shedeur all day, every day. All day, every day. I want Shedeur Sanders all day.
Yeah.
The only reason I don't want him is because I don't think he would come here. I think his dad would be like, nope, you aren't going there.
Yeah. So there it is. Fat man trying to piss me off. All right. That's it. No more drama. Exactly. All he'll bring is drama. Seriously. He'll probably quit coaching at Colorado and
we gotta have something to talk about, Brad.
He'll be Bo Bishop's partner on the Cleveland Browns Daily, and we'll have to listen to him talk about Shedeur and how great he is all year. I don't want no, terrible. It's a bad idea. It's a bad idea. He already said he's not letting him go certain places. I hope he has Cleveland on that list. Why, we're so terrible. You don't want him to come here, right? God forbid he get hurt. People will cheer.
I have to go. I gotta go, Brad. I can't get into this.
Mike. I'm sorry. Mike Keefe, everybody at Garage Beers. Mike, go ahead and get out of here, brother. Thank you for your time tonight. I appreciate you big time. You stepped it up.
Love you, man. Thank you for having me. Thanks, everybody in the comments. Yeah. Appreciate you guys.
All right. Later. Michael Keefe, great job filling in for Case tonight. He was great. So, listen, guys, have a great night. Appreciate you. Good conversation. I appreciate all of your opinions, except for Doob Sacks. It's the only one I don't respect. And you guys are great. I know you're playing with me, world's fastest. So you guys, just remember, Shelby was one.
This is Shelby Harris, and you're listening to All Eyes on Cleveland.
And with that, we're going to get out of here. You guys are fun. Appreciate it. And trade Wills. Yeah, he can go too. Wills can go for sure. He's not coming back either way. So chins up. Get to watch Jameis and not 4 this week. And hopefully the world will stop scolding us all for being football fans. Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching. Hit like, hit subscribe on your way out. Appreciate you all. For everybody at the OBR, for Michael Keefe, my name is Brad Ward. Have a wonderful evening. We are out.